assassinated. The Vietnam War was raging, and America was desperate for change. And it was that same year that Joseph and Katherine Jackson had an idea that would change their lives forever. Their story begins in Gary, Indiana, a steel town located at the southern tip of Lake Michigan.
Mr. Jackson worked in the steel mills. It was very hard work. It was physical labor, but steel workers were paid very well. I was operating a large crane. The other job was a welder. I'm an odd welder too, so I had two jobs in order to keep the family eating bread or something.
My father was very, very strong, because I look at what we went through then, and I look at what young parents, young fathers do today, and for my father to work the type of jobs and hours that he worked, we take our hat off to him, because we were a lot of different mouths to feed, and we ate like soldiers.
It was in this small house, coincidentally located at 2300 Jackson Street, that Joe and Katherine raised their 9 children. Maureen Rilette, known as Rebe. Sigmund, known as Jackie. Toriano, known as Tito. Jermaine. Latoya. Marlon. Michael. Stephen Randall, known as Randy. And the youngest of all, Janet.
It was a 2-bedroom house, not the size of a 2-car garage.
With 9 kids, you can imagine the room we had, but that's what we knew, so that was comfortable to us.
Oh, they were real fun kids. They were energetic, and the boys in particular, the older ones, they were into softball. They were very mannerable, very respectful, and they had a large, happy family.
Katherine Jackson surrounds herself with family to this day, but the only thing as important to her as family is her religious faith.
Being a Jehovah's Witness is the best thing that I think happened to me in my life. And I brought my family up, talking to them about Jehovah and taking them to the Kingdom Hall when we was in Gary, Indiana.
Katherine Jackson's devotion to God and family was matched by her husband Joe's love of rhythm and blues, a love he passed on to his sons.
That's where we learned to appreciate the blues, really. My father had a guitar, and he was, playing it for a while, and he put it in the closet, and Tito used to sneak and play it.
I'd play the guitar all day and have it back in the closet before he got home, until I broke a string, and he discovered that I'd been playing this guitar.
It must have scared him to death,
He disciplined Tito, and then after he finished doing that, then he said, okay, now show me what you know. So he had tears coming down his face, and it's kind of difficult to try to play what you know and crying at the same time.
But I played something very well, and the next day he went out and bought me my very own guitar. It was the only time I got a spanking, and I was glad to get one.
And that's when we started making harmony and singing, but even before then, my mother would wash the dishes, and some of us would be drying them, and she would sing these country songs, and we would make harmony with her.
The very first song that we learned was Cotton Fields Back Home.
We were all sitting around on the floor, just like you all are, sitting around, had nothing to do, and in Gary, Indiana, it's very cold, and a lot of snow on the ground, so they couldn't go out and play. No television, so we just sang songs.
Then we started doing some of the latest things that were out, some of the Motown things with the Temptations, and James Brown stuff, and Jackie Wilson.
And so I noticed that the children had a lot of talent at that time, so that's when we decided we should cultivate it.
She saw insight in the group. It was really her idea to put the guys together as a Jackson 5, because also Mrs. Jackson's urging, say, Joe, the boys can really sing, they're really talented.
Every day they rehearsed, and you couldn't help from hearing them because it was a regular house, and they got to have the windows up, and everybody heard them.
We entered into a lot of the talent shows, and there was one at Gary Roosevelt High School that we got a chance to be in, and we won first place.
Before the Motown days, the Jackson 5 would travel on a Volkswagen bus. Those were grueling shows. They would have to miss school. They would leave on a Thursday night sometime, get into the East Coast like Philadelphia, New York, and then to get back in Gary, Indiana Sunday night. Imagine that. And then to be at your desk Monday morning.
The Jackson 5's break into the big time came in July of 1968 when they took the stage at an amateur night contest at Chicago's Regal Theater. One of the acts playing at the Regal that night was Gladys Knight and the Pips, major hit makers for the Motown record label.
It was just one of those moments where we were at the right place at the right time. Gladys Knight was there. Gladys the one that saw us first.
And they came in and they were so excited that even though they were mannerable, you could sense their excitement, you know. And Michael was so little at that time. When he sat on the sofa, his little feet just dangled. You know, I mean, he never touched the floor. So look at this little guy right here, you know. And they were just, whoa. These little kids were just brilliant. They just had it. You know, whatever you want to call it, that charisma, that whisper, that whatever you have a name for, they had it. And once they hit that stage, I mean, boom, it's like a little bombshell.
With Gladys Knight's assistance, an audition was eventually secured with Motown Records. Motown's powerful roster of stars included Diana Ross and the Supremes, the Four Tops, Stevie Wonder, and Marvin Gaye. The Jackson 5 were eager to join their ranks. It was their once-in-a-lifetime chance to impress Motown's powerful president and founder, Berry Gordy.
We were saying, well, what are we going to do? Well, if we do this, we would knock them dead with this. We were like, we got in a little huddle before we came on stage. And they loved us.
Gordy knew a winning act when he saw one. He immediately offered the Jackson 5 a lucrative contract with Motown and invited them to move to Motown's new home base in Los Angeles. For the Jacksons, the offer was everything they had dreamed of. Nonetheless, the decision to leave Gary, Indiana was not an easy one to make.
It might sound crazy, but they were very reluctant, very afraid to go to L.A. Mrs. Jackson, being a wonderful mother, as she is, was afraid. I mean, it's a whole new world, Los Angeles.
We always wanted to come out here because it was so the sunshine and things like that. So we wanted to be just about everything. Movie stars, singers, performers.
The lure of sunny California won out. In the summer of 1969, Joe Jackson moved his sons Jackie, Jermaine, Tito, Marlon, and Michael to Beverly Hills. Life for the Jackson family would never be the same again. When famous families returned, the Jackson 5 beat the Beatles with a little help from their friends.
Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5.
America discovers the Jacksons, next on Famous Families.